Hello everyone, Miss Carrie here from Miss Carrie's Creations. I'm going to share 2 card making projects that you can make with just one stencil and a package of acrylic perspectives. By simply altering the color palette and the inks used, you can create 2 entirely different designs. I don't know about you, but summertime always has a full schedule and I rarely get much crafting in. This is a great time to work on smaller projects like cards. Birthday cards tend to be the one that we run out of most, so I'm going to share a few designs with you that you can make using this new Hooray Perspectives collection. In the package there is one that is a white happy birthday sentiment, and the other is a shiny blue metallic hooray. If you watch my channel, you know that I love creating backgrounds for my cards, so we're going to make a few with this color wheel stencil. This is a great stencil for you to use on both your card making and scrapbooking projects. As I create the 2 cards, I'll bring in a few additional supplies to the project. I will list those in the description below, along with a link to the Bramble Fox shop. I'm going to start by creating 2 color wheels. This first wheel that I'm going to create has smaller sections. Each of the color wheels in the stencil has 12 portions, so I've already gone ahead and selected the 12 ink colors that I'll be using in a Roy G. Biv order, which translates to red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. I'm securing this stencil in place with magnets, and I've masked off the area I'm working on. I am using these small blending brushes from Bramble Fox to add the color, but I tend to be a little bit on the messy side, so this tape should prevent me from getting ink in the other areas. Color wheels often showcase darker colors in the center, gradually shifting towards lighter hues and tints as you move outwards. To achieve this effect, I began by brushing the ink in the middle, and then I blended the ink outwards. This technique darkens the color in the center and gradually softens it as it extends towards the outer region of the circle. I'm using a hybrid ink, which is a dye and pigment mix. I find that these tend to create a smoother blend. That's due to the pigment part of the ink. The pigment floats on the surface, creating a more vibrant color and softer blend. The dye part of the ink is what allows it to dry quickly. If you've ever worked with a pigment ink, you know that they do take a while to dry. Having that dye mix allows the ink to blend like pigment, but dry quickly like a dye-based ink. Because these are hybrid inks, I did have to change out my masking tape when I switched colors. If I had continued to use the same strips of masking material, the ink would have blended from the tape, which would have made a muddy mess. So I have quickly worked my way around this color wheel stencil, and you can see that this creates a beautiful little color wheel. I'm going to go ahead and make a second one, but this time I'm not going to follow that Roy G. Biv rainbow order because I want to show you another way to bring color to your card projects with this stencil. This wheel is going to be paired with the metallic blue perspective, so I want to create a wheel of complementary colors that the blue sentiment can set upon. Just like before, I have secured that stencil in place with magnets, and I'm masking off each of the areas. I'm starting with a few red hues that slowly darken as they move into orange, then yellow, then green. I also want this card to have a more masculine feel, so I selected darker shades of color instead of vibrant hues. This time I'm using a Distress Oxide ink. This particular formula contains mostly pigment ink, but also some dye ink as well. The higher pigment content makes these blend so beautifully on just about any cardstock. The inks do begin to oxidize immediately, which gives them that matte, milky finish that looks almost like chalk. The opacity of these also makes them great for inking craft paper or black cardstock. Wouldn't these color wheels look so cool on a piece of black cardstock? What I find particularly appealing about these inks is that they can react with water. And now that the stenciling of the wheel is complete, I can spritz a little bit of water on here, and the ink's going to react where the puddles of water sit. After a few moments, I'll blot away the excess water, and we have some great texture in that color wheel design. Let me bring back that first color wheel so that you can see the difference. Just by changing the colors used and the type of ink, we have two totally different looks here. All right, we aren't done with the stencil yet. I want to show you one more way to use it. This stencil has two color wheels and two color palette or paint chip type images. I'm not quite sure what the official term is, but I thought that this one would make a great little card background. I'm going to stick with a single color for this, but you could use a mix of colors if you like. Just like with the color wheel, I'm going to go from dark to light, adding most of the ink over on the right and working my way to the left. I chose this color of blue because it matches the hooray perspective, and when we assemble the cards here in a moment, you'll be able to see how well this little pattern makes that sentiment pop. So I'm going to place 3 of these designs at the top, then I'll rotate this and create 3 at the base of the card. I'll be adding a paper pattern strip in the center, so I won't need to fill in the background completely. I think this design would be super cute as a multicolor card background or journaling area on a scrapbook page. You could also use the little circles on this stencil to create the same type of design. All right, now we have a card background and 2 color wheels that were created with 1 stencil. Let's take all of these pieces we just created and make a couple of cards. For our first card, I'm going to adhere that background onto the center of a white card base. In the center of the card, I have a complementary color for the pattern paper strip. This is about 2.5 inches wide with some stitching on either side. The color wheel is going to sit in the center of the card, popped up on some thin foam tape. After I removed the protective covering from the perspective, I can adhere it right here in the center of the color wheel. Below the word hooray, I'm going to add the phrase, "It's your day," from the occasion paper snip sheet. This little paper snip sheet is designed with all sorts of phrases that are perfect for your card making projects. I'm going to bring in a little more blue to that card with some enamel dots and little enamel stars. These just highlight the perspective even more and give this card a great celebratory feel. Take a look at the first card. Isn't that just too cute? All right, let's go ahead and quickly assemble a second one. For this card design, I have a pattern paper base, and I'm going to place my color wheel onto the white cardstock that I have here, and it'll go right there in the center. I do want the color wheel to stand out a bit from the white background, so I'm blending a little bit of soft blue ink to create a nice little shadow. I forgot to mention earlier how I cut out these color wheels. Each one measures about 3 1/4 inches, so I just used a 3.5 inch circle die to cut them out. At the base of this card, I added a few paper strips, then laid the color wheel over the top. This rainbow color wheel does such a great job of highlighting that white happy birthday perspective. I'm going to bring in that paper snip sheet one more time and grab a little phrase that says, "Let's celebrate." After I adhere this below the perspective, I'll bring in a few enamel dots to finish off the card. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the 2 cards we created today. With one stencil and a package of perspectives, we created 2 adorable birthday cards that just about anyone would love. One of the color wheels is more traditional, while the other has a more masculine feel of darker shades. Not only did we use the stencil to create the color wheels, we also created a keen little background as well. There are so many possibilities for this design. These fantastic birthday cards are full of color and so simple to make with the color wheel stencil and birthday perspectives from Bramble Fox. By simply modifying the color scheme and varying the ink type, you can easily alter the look of your design. I hope this project inspired you to give a few of these techniques a try. If you're one who likes to pin projects to inspiration boards, I have placed these photos on my website and in the Bramble Fox Friends group, so you can grab those still shots there. I want to thank you for joining me for another card making project. If you would like to see more of my designs, you can visit my channel or follow Miss Carrie's Creations online. If you have any questions about this project or the supplies listed below, feel free to leave me a comment. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.